Testing 1, 2, 3. There we go. Now the sound's on. Testing. Want to make sure the sound is working before we get started here on Bitcoin. There we go. So the sound looks like it's working. We're going to get started here. Better late than never. I will be back live on Tuesday at the regularly scheduled time at 9 p.m. Central Time. We're live on Saturdays and Tuesdays. Sometimes the times do change, but usually the regularly scheduled live stream is 9 p.m. Central Time. Wow! Bitcoin is right now, the crypto markets are right now in extreme fear. That is when you should be buying, not financial advice. This is also the highest price Bitcoin has ever been when we have been in extreme fear from what I do know in the past. So that's a very good sign right now is that Bitcoin is in extreme fear, but we're still well above $100,000 at $110,000. I don't think Bitcoin has ever been at $110,000 in extreme fear. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd have to go back test that. So as far as I'm concerned, this is a higher low on the extreme and fear greed index. So that's a good sign that we are still holding 110,000. We do need to talk about what's going on though, because Bitcoin really has now. Look, I see Bitcoin getting rejected off of this top of this descending triangle and still likely to dump. Not financial advice. But this could be a pretty good entry for a short here, retesting the top of this channel and getting rejected. We're going to look at Bookmap and see where the liquidity lies on Bitcoin. But right now, I got to say, it looks more bearish than bullish unless Bitcoin can crack at 111.7. So right now, let's go look at the Bookmap and see where the orders are at. So on the weekly time frame, we still have a lot of liquidity at 130,000, but then look to the downside, you have a lot of liquidity at $105,000 for Bitcoin, which suggests to me, especially with the descending triangle, that we might start to get the move to the downside. And then if you guys come over here, you guys can see that we still have a lot. This is the daily time frame. Bookmap suggests that Bitcoin is going to dump, and there's a lot of buy orders down here at $105,000. 90% of the time, I would say we do go down to wherever there's the most liquidity. So to me, it does seem likely and probable that we get a little bit of a dump here on Bitcoin to the downside, possibly down to this area of about 105,000. Then if you come a little bit lower, you have some liquidity at 103, and you have some more at 102. So at this point, and you have some at 109 and some at 108, the most by far is at $105,000. This suggests to me that we are going to take a little bit of a tumble and get a move to the downside for Bitcoin. So we'll see what happens. But that is kind of what I see going on. I'm going to let my Telegram group know that we are on YouTube. By the way, if you guys want to join the trading group, link to join is in the description below on TikTok and on YouTube. On TikTok, it's in my bio. But yeah, so I see Bitcoin getting a further move to the downside, and most likely we are going to see 105,000 sooner rather than later. Like I said, we're going to get into the charts here in a moment, but there is a descending triangle forming on Bitcoin, and I think we just retested the bottom or the top of the channel. I would be surprised if Bitcoin does not go down at some point in the next week or so, 2 weeks at most, to about $105,000. Let me know, how are you guys doing and how are you guys feeling in the chat about the current markets? Appreciate if you guys hit the likes. It does help support the channel. We're live on TikTok and on YouTube. But yeah, right now I see the most liquidity at around $105,000 for Bitcoin. And then again, I see the most liquidity on the weekly around 105. And actually, I see a crap ton of liquidity. I just noticed this. I see even more liquidity at 99,000 than I see at 105. So that suggests that if we touch 105, eventually we might stay there for a while, and that could be a bounce zone. I would expect it to be a bounce zone at 105, but at some point in the next month, I would be surprised if we don't see 99,000. That could change, but for right now, I see 105 being a bounce zone, and then a dead cat bounce, and then eventually we could see 99K. I don't want to say the top's in, but for right now, I don't think it is based on the fear and greed index being so in extreme fear right now, but I still think that the worst is possibly not over for Bitcoin. So at this point, I would be looking for more downside. This is not financial advice, of course. This is just what I see going on in the markets. Thank you for the follow, River. So that's what I see going on in the markets. I see more downside coming for Bitcoin. Again, possibly down to 105 short term. And then maybe for the rest of October, maybe sometime early November, you see a crazy move down to 99,000. Obviously, we know that Bitcoin can go down $13,000 in one day, like we saw the other day. It did not stay down a $13,000 loss the entire day. It was an okay bounce. It wasn't that great of a bounce off the lows, though. I know some exchanges did go down to 101K. That was quite crazy. But with that being said, let's head on over and look at the charts and see what is going on for Bitcoin. Right now, Bitcoin is struggling. It is in a descending triangle, and it really looks like it wants to dump further to the downside. My crazy measure move is 96, 95.2. And how do I get that measure move? Well, I will show you. We take it from that last local wick to the last local high, and that is how you get it. It looks pretty bad, and even if you don't use this insane wick here, if you don't use the wick, your measure move still is $97,120. So, and that is a support zone. So that makes more sense to me not using the wick. But still, the measure move is $97,000. And again, I might set up a trade here and show you guys what I might do here for a trade. So this is kind of a short trade idea that I was thinking about taking, and I took it earlier, but I introed a little bit lower. So my stop loss would be above this wick here, and then my take profit would be all the way down at least 105, but you could take it down to about 97K. Now, I would also go off of Bookmap. Bookmap, again, suggests, if we go back over to Bookmap suggests the most liquidity is about 99,000. So I would probably do my take profit around there. So if we did ever take profit at $99,000, and we'll do 99.1, and then your stop loss right now could be above this last wick here. So let me just zoom in. This is on the Coinbase exchange. So I would do a stop loss just to give you some insurance room. So your stop would be 111.6. This is definitely a long-term swing trade. And your take profit is $99,000 for Bitcoin. Now, if you took this trade, your R&R would be 21. That means you could take this trade 20 times, and then if you want it on the 21st time, you'd be break even. If you want it, so that also does mean though you have a pretty tight stop loss compared to your take profit. So that means you could get stopped out of this trade a few times, but again, you could lose this trade 20 times. You could get stopped out 20 times, and then if the 21st time we did dump, you would be break even. If you won 2 out of 21 times, you'd be slightly profitable. So am I taking this trade? It seems like an okay trade setup. Again, 21 R&R is pretty good. So, we'll see what happens. Another take profit you could do, and it'd still be a very good trade setup, as your take profit would be at the first major liquidity zone, which would be about $105,000. And if you did that, you would still have a very good R&R of approximately 10 to 1. So at this point, I personally would, if I was going to enter this trade, my stop would be 111.6, 111.7 at the 111.7 at most, and my take profit would be about $105,000. I would go for 105K. I don't know if I do a take profit of 99K. So that is the bearish trade setup right now that is possibly brewing here for Bitcoin. So if you guys have requests for altcoins, let me know. But of course, it's going to kind of follow whatever Bitcoin does do. Thank you guys for the likes on TikTok. Hello, a bit worried. Do you think altcoin season finally begins this year? Man, I'd be honest, I don't know if we're going to get an altcoin season. I really don't. Altcoins here and there are popping off. The first one that comes to mind would be ZEC coin, ZEC. So I did give you the short trade setup for the move down to 105,000. But to really see if that's going to happen, I would really be watching these smaller time frames. Like right now, the 1 minute time frame is above the 200-day moving average, which suggests so is the 2 minute, and the 3 minutes trying to get above it, which suggests to me we might not dump just yet. So I would personally not enter a short unless we lose the level of about $110,400. If Bitcoin does not lose 110.4, I would not enter a short. If you get back below 110.4, I would say there could be an idea for a short setup again. Right now, you also have to understand that it is the weekend. There's a lack of volume. But But right now, Bitcoin is in a bullish setup. It looks ugly, but it is above the 200 in a bull flag with a measure move of 112.5. So we'll see what happens. Is there any liquidity at $112,500? Not really. Nothing to speak of. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I would not take that long trade. My bot did buy the dip right there. But I would. It's kind of sketchy. I would not long. I wouldn't short. I wouldn't short unless you lose 110.4. And as far as the long goes right now, you could enter long with a stop below 110.4, which is the 200-day moving average. But it looks kind of choppy. I will say that. So yeah, I don't love what I see for Bitcoin right now. I don't love it, but I also don't hate it. I'm in the middle. If I had to trade the 1 minute right now, I would go for a long with a take profit of 112.5. That is not a bad R&R. So I could see a small pump coming here right now for Bitcoin, because we're above the 1 minute 200-day moving average. So yeah, I gotta be honest with you guys. I could see a pump coming, and again, your stop would have to be 110.3, 110.4 at the highest. It's a weekend. There's less volume, so I would just be cautious. But at this point, this is your bullish scenario. If you don't pump right here, right now, then if you lose 110.4, you could enter a short. So as far as right now, I wouldn't enter a short unless you lose 110.4. And if you want to enter a long right now, you could, but I wouldn't take a long. It's pretty high risk. But if you do want to take a long, because you always liked a long trade, or if you're bullishly biased, then here's your long trade setup on the 1 minute with a take profit of 112.5. Stop loss is 110.4. Or 110.3. One of those two levels would be the 1 minute scalpelino for Bitcoin. So here's my free trade setup on the 1 minute, and then yeah, that's what I'd be looking for. So I might bite on a long right now for Bitcoin. Actually, I might bite on a long for Bitcoin. You know what I see? I see Bitcoin probably pumping short term. I'm just gonna do it for the heck of it. For the heck of it, let's do it. Oh my gosh. Why do we have to do that? Why do we need to do maintenance on, is it what time is it UTC right now? Is it 7:10? I don't know what time it is UTC time. It's not working though, so hold on a second. I'm about to enter a trade on Bitcoin right now. Stop loss would be 110.4. Take profit is 112.5. All right, guys, I did just take a long on Bitcoin with a trade setup I literally just gave you. It could definitely dump. My stop loss is 110.4. Watch it just dump in my face, right? But again, it's been a rough week for me trading, I'll be honest. It's been rough. And I think it's been rough for a lot of people. So I did want to make sure, even though I went live later than normal, I want to make sure I still was able to come on here. I was going to go live this afternoon, then stuff happened, but I want to make sure I still went live at some point today. But yeah, so my stop loss is below 110.4 or at 110.4. Take profits all the way up there at 112.5. And that's the trade I gave. Now, the longer term trade is still bearish, but I will say if we go back to the 15-minute time frame, if we get back above I said 111.7, then the bearish trade is off the table. So the short idea to the downside would be off the table if Bitcoin can break $111,700 right now. If we get rejected off of the top of this descending triangle right here at 111.3, then I would be looking for the short to the downside. But if we break 111.3, 111.7, I'd be looking for the move to 112.5. So I don't see liquidity on Bookmap up there. So Bookmap suggests we don't get a pump, but we'll see. I am long nonetheless, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, that's my trade setup so far, probably around break even. Says that so I'm up $6 on the trade. I entered the trade at $110,800. The prices on these exchange are slightly different. So I do want to know, what time is it UTC time? It's 4:11 a.m. So in 3 hours they do maintenance. Okay. That won't affect me then. Bitcoin ripping right now. So we'll see if I can win this trade. This would be a great way to end the night because I will be honest, tonight this has been pretty brutal for me trading this week. So my take profit is 112,500. If I win this trade, I make $84. It would be a small comeback for me overall based on what's happened this week. So that is a trade setup. I would love to see Bitcoin rip at $1,500 in the next 15 minutes, or it could totally happen too. It's the weekend, right? Lower volume. You're more likely to win this trade during the work week than the weekend. But you know what? I took a shot at it because I took the long because you're above the 1 minute 200 moving average and you're in a flag. It was kind of ugly, but I took the long because of that. So that is what we got going on. Yeah. Now let me look at the chat. Market crash still more. Well, I just went over that, so I'll let you figure that out. If you guys need to rewind the stream on YouTube, you can go over to my YouTube channel. Got to fill in the FV gap at 118. Well, at some point we are going to go back up. My bot did buy, and my bot currently has a take profit of 116.3. So that's my update on that. And let me see what we got. No one on YouTube watching. Wow. All right, whatever. Y'all missing out. I'd be watching on YouTube because then you can see my entire screen. But you know what? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So that's what we got going on right now. I took a trade on Bitcoin, and beyond that, that's kind of all I got going on for the night. 15-minute time frame is overbought. It's not a great trade setup. I told you it was not a great trade setup. You know what is in your favor? I would say is a 3-hour time frame and above. 4-hour time frame is oversold, even though it's kind of struggling to get the bounce on the 4-hour. I think if Bitcoin goes to 112.5, it would start to get the bounce on the stock RSI. 6-hour very oversold for Bitcoin. 8-hour very oversold for Bitcoin. 12-hour time frame very oversold for Bitcoin. Daily time frame getting pretty close to being oversold for Bitcoin. You have 20 more hours in this daily candle, not quite oversold. 3-day doesn't look great. 5-day looks interesting. 5-day could continue up here, especially if Bitcoin bounces here. 6-day, same kind of situation. And weekly, I would agree, same situation. So I'd be watching for the start of this breakout back to the upside here. And that'd be pretty awesome if I just longed the local bottom right there at 110.6. So again, that's a trade I'm in. It's only worth 0.05 Bitcoin. Because it is the weekend and for other reasons as well. But again, that's the trade I'm in right now. Nothing crazy, but yeah. That music is from Market Cipher YouTube. Well, maybe, but I'm using a YouTube channel called the Relaxed Movement. And it plays music for like 12 hours. But he probably got it from YouTube. I don't know what he did. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know. My trade's now up $13. So if we win the trade, if Bitcoin goes up to 111 or 112.5, I'd make $84. And it's only worth again 0.05 Bitcoin. So but so far we have gotten a bounce. So if you guys have altcoins, I'll look at them. Otherwise, that's gonna kind of be what I want to go over tonight. I'm probably not gonna stay up for this to pump to 112.5 because me staying up and losing sleep over $84 is not worth my time. But if I wake up in the morning, I'm up $84, I'd be pretty happy. So we'll see, man. The trade's up $14. Whoop-de-doo. So I don't know. That's what I see going on for tonight. Is maybe a possible bounce on Bitcoin. So we'll see what happens. Let me look at the Nasdaq really quick. Wow, Nasdaq got obliterated on Friday. Holy crap! I guess the dump probably happened on Friday. That is brutal. The Nasdaq was down 5% on Friday. I've never seen the Nasdaq down that much in one day. Well, maybe I have. It's been a long time. For the Nasdaq to be down 5%, I would say that's equal to Bitcoin being down 15%. That's what happened on Friday. That is brutal. So now, where's the next support for the Nasdaq? The Nasdaq literally on Friday gave back gains from September 7th. That's a month. The last 3 weeks it gave back gains. That's not actually that crazy. I see the Nasdaq probably getting support now at. There's a lot of volume here, 23.4. So that's really the next area. I see the support on the Nasdaq is $23,400. So I don't know how many of you guys care about this, but I think it does affect the markets. The Nasdaq does obviously affect the markets to some extent. But I could care less about the Nasdaq. But I do think it obviously matters. And with the government shutdown probably lasting another 30 days or another 20 days. I mean, that's not good. I think everything could dump until the tariffs are figured out with China and until the government shutdown is over. I think we could see some sideways price action, if not a small dump overall in the market. But maybe I'm wrong. That's just my opinion, though. So. Welcome to the middle of the live stream. Yeah, this is going to be a longer live stream. I want to see if I win this trade. Again, I'm not going to stay here unless we get pumped in the next 15 minutes to 112.5. I probably won't stay for the entire thing. But again, we'll see if I win this trade or not. So, yeah, and I want to go live longer today as well because it's the market was crazy on Friday. So, yeah. How'd Solana do on Friday? Let's look at Solana. So Solana got to move down to almost a support at 170. Now your next resistance is 188. Solana is currently down 21% in a week. Wow. Interesting. Okay. Again, I really don't care about anything besides Bitcoin, to be frank with you. I really, really don't. I do hold Atom Coin. Maybe I should look at Atom Coin. I don't hold much of it, actually, to be honest. I don't hold much of it. Atom is also down 23% this week. But nothing to really write home about on this chart. To be honest with you, if Bitcoin pumps right now, then Atom will probably get a V-shaped recovery. But otherwise, I'll be honest with you, Atom, as of right now, is in a bear flag. Now, the 4-hour time frame is oversold on a lot of alts. Usually, when I see that, I wouldn't be shorting in a bear for a bear flag because it just is likely that at some point the 4-hour time frame will get the bounce. But here's your bear scenario. I don't believe this is going to happen. I think the 4-hour time frame on Atom at least gets a dead cat bounce. But here's the bear scenario: is Atom goes down to $1.85. Again, I believe I would be taking a long in a lot of alts right now. That is just what I would be doing. But the most bear scenario short term, I would say, is $1.85 on Atom. Again, I think you get the 4-hour bounce, even if it's a lower high. I think short term, a lot of things are about to bounce on the 4-hour time frame, especially based on where Bitcoin is at currently. Bitcoin goes to even 112.5, even if it's a dead cat bounce lower high, that'd be good for a lot of alts. Now look at this. It's not the best. That's kind of trying to flag out here and go sideways. It's definitely kind of slightly upward sloping. But Bitcoin, like to me, I do see a pump brewing here for Bitcoin. And a continuation pump brewing here for Bitcoin. So this short term suggests you're going to go to 111.7. This is a flag on the 1 minute. You're still well above the 200. 4 minutes above the 200, I think, almost. 4 minute is above the 200-day moving average. So, and the next target would be the 5 minute up there at 111.4. So that's for me right now, I'm bullish on Bitcoin for the rest of tonight. I really am. With that being said, guys, that's going to kind of wrap up the stream. That is what I see going on for the markets. Let me check YouTube one more time. If you guys have any requests, let me know. But with that being said, I'll be back on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Central Time. I hope you have a great rest of your night. I'm going to wrap this up because I am ready for bed. And that's kind of what I see going on in the markets. I see a small pump coming tonight. And then beyond that, we'll have to reevaluate the markets tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday. I'll be posting a YouTube video tomorrow. with an update on the markets, probably around 6 p.m. Central Time, and that's kind of my plan for tomorrow. So yeah, that's my plan for tomorrow, and that's what I see going on in the markets. Is a small pump for tonight, and I'll leave it at that. Have a great rest of your night, guys. The trend's different until the end. Right now, the trend on the 1 minute is to the upside. The trend on the 4 hours is to the downside. You take your pick. I'm choosing the 1 minute to long tonight. I'll leave it at that. Have a good night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with the update on Bitcoin. Adios. Always use a stop loss, by the way. That's my tip for the night. That would be my tip for the night: is always use a stop loss. Have a good night. I'll see you guys with the update.